My name is Daniel Taylor. I reside in Troy, New Hampshire, or at least used to, prior to my convictions, although I'm waiting to be convicted on. I'm here for burglary and theft, allegedly, and it was all basically to feed my addiction to heroin.
Hi, my name is Danielle Marshall. I'm a substance abuse counselor here at the Cheshire County House of Corrections. Here today to talk about a new group treatment model that we recently implemented in February called MRT. MRT stands for Moral Recognition Therapy. The word "canation" referring to decision making. So basically we're trying to help the inmates and the population itself make better choices.
For years, I've struggled with addiction, and I never really knew what to base my addiction upon. I knew that it was typically because of traumatic experiences in my childhood, but I never really wanted to play the blame game. So instead, I would always just bury my feelings, thoughts and feelings, and I'd hide them deep and never want to expose them to anyone or anybody, especially myself. So for years, I lived with the idea that I can control anything in my life for years. And then I come to the realization that I have no control over my addiction to heroin, that it controls you. Once you make that one stupid decision to use, you are no longer in control of your life. It'll wrap itself around you. It'll take your kids away. It'll take your house away. Your spouse, everything that you've earned and worked for is gone. You can kiss it goodbye. So it sucks, living with addiction. Okay.
So the inmates often, as a result of the chaos in their life, start self-medicating. And many of them are in and out of jail their whole lives.
My friends introduced me to cocaine and heroin when I was 19 years old. And I gladly accepted. I had not the greatest childhood growing up, and so I was always looking for a way out. And using drugs was at first seeking pleasure and then to avoid pain. And it expanded, and I got arrested and sent to jail for the first time when I was 22 years old. I did a county year at the Westmoreland facility. And when I got out, all I wanted to do was be clean. And I didn't like heroin, I hated it. And for years I lived that way. And then one traumatic experience sent me right back into relapse. And I kept saying I got it under control, and I didn't have it under control. So 8 years of sobriety, I ended up relapsing pretty hard and ended up coming back here to this great facility, and then did my first prison bid for 2 years. And again, I thought I had it under control, and I never sought help, never had any type of recovery program or anything like that. So it was left to me to try to control it, and I didn't have control once again. And so when I got out of prison, I figured I could do it on my own. I figured I could have my life back, and so I decided to raise a family. And I met a wonderful woman. We have a beautiful son. But unfortunately, the birth of my son made for another really traumatic experience. He was fighting for his life for the first 2 weeks into this world, and that put a lot of stress on me and my son's mother. And our relationship crumbled, and with that, I returned back to drugs, to self-medicate, to hide the pain. And it didn't work, and I ended up getting into trouble again, trying to support my habit, and I ended up back here. So this time around, I actually took my life in my own hands.
So the group is designed to teach them a whole new way of living and being. Um, it references the inner self in the beginning of the book. And it says that the inner self does not change. We all have the capacity within us to be the best that we can be. However, it talks about the personality, and the personality is based on their life experiences, different beliefs based on their trauma and what they have been through in life. MRT says the personality is what we want to get rid of for these people. They want to completely disregard everything they've been taught in life and learn a whole new way of being. And that's what the group is designed to do. So it is a 16-week group. There's 16 steps that they must achieve to complete the program.
I was very determined to find my recovery, to hold on to it with everything I had, and to not give up. And Danielle and Stacy presented the MRT program to me. And at first, a little skeptical, because it teaches you and tells you to basically dive into yourself, find your feelings, your true inner self, get away from all the bullshit, and to find you. And these are feelings that I've been just suppressing my whole life. I've been hiding from them, and it was the only way that I found I could live, was to bury these feelings. But through the MRT program, I started dipping into it, dipping into myself, and slowly but surely, I've got a grasp. It hurt, every step of the way, but it was an awakening. It was telling me that, I'm not the person that I am when I'm on drugs, and that I am a good person, and that what I've experienced in my life can be traumatic. It can be depressing. It's sad, but you can overcome it and become a better person. And so that's what I'm learning. With each step, I learn something new. I love it how it makes you not play the blame game. Because growing up, I'd always blame something. Oh, she said I'm worthless, or he said I'm worthless, and I'm no good, and so that's why I use. But with the program, it definitely tells you that you can't do that. You got to take responsibility. And so for the first time in my life, I'm taking responsibility for my actions, for my drug use, for my addiction, and all the roles it played. And though it might hurt, it's healing at the same time.
For example, step one, they're talking about their life. They're doing a pyramid of their life from 20 years ago to now, and what they did and what could have been different. They also have to do a testimony, anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, about the lack of honesty in their life.
So with the help of Stacy and Danielle, just in the last 5 months, I've overcome so much that I should have been overcoming in my whole years of existence. Not being offered any type of program in my history really played a huge role in my background history. I feel that if I continue with the program, that I could hold on to my recovery and my sobriety. So.
They have to do 20 hours of helping others total throughout the program. 10 hours for step 6, and then another 10 hours for step 10, which is really out of their comfort zone. They have to learn how to give something to others or do something to help others without getting anything in return. So they're not allowed to help their friends. They can't count their work duties that are mandatory. It really has to be something that they choose to help someone with without getting anything in return. So some of them choose to help each other with their assignments. They've taught each other games. They've helped other limited inmates that may have cognitive difficulties. So that's very powerful for them too. Most of them are very selfish and self-centered as a result of their addiction, and this is a whole new way of life for them to really focus on someone else and not so much themselves all the time.
Usually addicts, we're all poor me. This is my life, I'm all fucked up, excuse my language. I'm all screwed up, and please help me, but I don't want to help yet. You know, so once we actually take control and see the damage we've done, that's when recovery begins.
It's also peer-led. So their peers are really holding them accountable for their behavior, which is another tricky thing here in a correctional institution where there's a lot of codes as to how you have to act. So the ones that join MRT are really choosing to let go of jail code and really hold their peers accountable if they find that they're not being honest about something.
And that's when you hold on to it. And that's what the MRT program actually teaches you. The time of incarceration without recovery groups or any type of programs is useless. Like, you learn how to become a better criminal. You learn how to, you learn more connects. Like, now I get out, I got 15 more connects in Lawrence or Fitchburg that I can go to get drugs, just in case I want to relapse. So
They're raising awareness. They're learning how to get along with others. They're learning how to trust people. And they're learning that their needs are not always going to get met exactly when they want them to be. They're learning how to work through conflict without getting physical. They're developing a whole new set of beliefs to live their life by. So far, it's been very effective. We've seen a lot of positive change. The group itself is reducing recidivism across the country. It's helping develop a more positive self-image, and of course, helping them make better decisions.
My 2 years in prison, it did a lot of damage, but I didn't have a lot to lose at that time. So I just figured it was just doing time. It was a stint under my belt. Even though this time around I have lost my family, I have lost my time with my child, so I did have things to lose, that wasn't the point. Like, with the MRT program, it shows you that you're losing yourself if you don't commit, if you don't learn. So what good are you going to be to anyone else if you don't learn about yourself and take care of yourself? And then once you can do that and maintain, you'll be that much better of a person for everyone else. So in all my time of incarceration, there's never been a program like it. And so I'm very thankful to be accepted into the program.